So you are with Alok on day 15 of your RSC virtual training. Odo, one day, one video. So what are the objectives? So we are going to understand very elementary things but very important things. Understanding the boot process of RHEL 7, how the machine boots up. We will be learning how to break the root password in case you forgot the root password or someone has changed the root password. And then we will be learning how to secure your Grub using the Grub password. So let's start with the first topic first, the boot process, RHEL 7 boot process. So how the machine boots? As soon as you turn on your machine, the BIOS, basic input output system, it loads. It performs the post. So I hope majority of you must be knowing the BIOS, basic input output system, and what it does, it performs the post, power on self test. And the job of the post or power on self test is to check all the hardware, whether every hardware is working properly or not, whether the RAM, the CPU and everything is in place or not. Once the hardware is checked, then the BIOS, it's the job of the BIOS to load the MBR, master boot record. So MBR is the first 512 bytes on your bootable drive. That means primary partition. And the job of the MBR is to discover the bootable devices and then load the Grub2. Grub2 is our bootloader in case of RHEL 7, and load the bootloader into the memory and then gives the control to it. So that's the job of the MBR. So now once the MBR has done the job, it has loaded the Grub. Now comes the Grub. So Grub is what? Grub is the bootloader, and in RHEL 7 it is Grub2. So Grub2 is the default bootloader in RHEL 7. That stands for Grand Unified Bootloader. And the main config file of the bootloader is boot grub.cfg, though we will never edit this file straight away, but boot grub.cfg is the main configuration file of the bootloader or Grub2, my bootloader. This is the file. So we are going to change this, but not right now. So, and it is recommended that you should not directly edit the file. So Grub menu configurations are loaded from a different file. The main config file is your boot grub.cfg that I had told you, but the menu configurations are loaded from etc default grub. So if I show you this file, etc default grub, so the menu configurations are stored here. So once the Grub is loaded, it searches for the kernel file, because ultimately if you intend to boot the machine, that the kernel should be loaded. So Grub search the kernel file inside the boot directory /boot. There it will try to find a file with the name of VM Linux. This is my kernel, VM Linux. This is my kernel. So Grub search the kernel image VM Linux from the boot directory, and then Grub loads it. So Grub loads the kernel as well as the Grub loads the init ramfs file, this file. So Grub loads two files. One is your kernel get loaded, and then the second is your init ramfs file is loaded. Yeah, 3.10. I'll just write it here. .img. So these two files are loaded. So what does init ramfs does? Init ramfs, the job of the init ramfs is to load the basic set of drivers so that the machine can work. So it's going to load basic set of drivers like your SATA drivers, your IDE, your iSCSI or RAID, so that these devices can be mounted. And though you won't be requiring it, in case you want to check the contents of init rd, you can see, give the command ls init rd. So see here, these are the modules and the drivers and all the things, those are loaded here, but we won't be needing it as such because we won't be modifying or customizing it directly. So once the grub2 has done the job, so the job of the grub2 it does two jobs. It loads the kernel VM Linux and it extracts the contents of the init RAM fs. So that I had just shown you, these are the contents. I just do a control C here. So once it's done, so now comes what? Now comes your kernel. The kernel starts the process. Everything is being controlled by the kernel. The kernel starts the systemd process, which is the PID1. If you remember, in the process class, I had shown you that systemd is the first process that start. Systemd and the process ID is 1. So the job of the kernel is to start this process. Then the systemd takes the control, and the job of the systemd is to generate or create the rest of the processes. So the job of the systemd is a lot of jobs. It does a lot of jobs. Its job include setting your host name, initializing your network, your SE Linux configuration. Might be if you have configured the HCMOTD file, then it might show you the message of the day, mounting the file systems, cleaning up the var, starting the swap, then starting your machine in the default run level or the default target. So it reads the configuration from HC systemd. I'll just show it to you. It reads everything from the HC systemd. Here it is. It reads everything from here. Then it loads your default run level or the default target from this file HC systemd system, and you will find here default.target. This is the file which is loaded. So by default it is linked to the graphical target as we have the graphics available. So I'll show you how to isolate the target, how to change the targets or the run level, that we are going to learn. So this is the complete boot process, and the main is the grub. So let's just go more into the grub. It's how your machine boots. So the main configuration file of the grub is, I had told you, boot grub.cfg, but you will normally won't be editing the file manually, and the grub settings are stored under HC default grub. Just remember these locations. So grub settings are stored here, so we can edit this file. And what the grub does, it loads the script from the grub.d directory. This is a directory that contains a lot of scripts. So it loads the script from here, right? It loads the script from here and it takes my configuration from here. So if I change anything, I will be changing here. So what it does, it takes your default settings from HC default grub and it takes the scripts from here, combine these two, HC default grub and the scripts, combine these two and create a file boot grub to grub.cfg. So for that we normally use a file grub. In case you have edited the file, this file or any of the scripts file here, so you need to regenerate the grub.cfg file, the main configuration file. But because as we don't do it manually, so you have to generate it by the command grub2 make config. I'll just show it to you. Make config and the location. So what it does, it reads everything, and if I show you the LL of this file once again, see the timestamp changes. So this file is being recreated. So whenever you do any changes in the default settings of HC default grub or any of the scripts file, please remember you need to regenerate the grub.conf file, because this is a file which is being read by the grub or the bootloader. So this is how your RHEL 7 booting processes. I hope this is clear from this picture which is coming up right on your screen, and I was able to explain you about each and every component, what BIOS does, what MBR does, what Grub does, what kernel does, what is the job of the systemd, and finally the machine gets booted in the default target or in the default run level. This a sound and understanding of the boot process is very important. Now let's see how to break the root password. This is a very important topic, and if you visit the Red Hat website, then it is an exam objective also. How to break the grub password, the root password. So let's see. Let's presume I forgot the root password. I'm here. Sorry. So someone has changed the root password and I'm not able to do a SU, switch user. Okay, for changing the root password, you need to have the physical access of the server. Remember, I am repeating myself. You need to have the physical access on the server, because it's a normal question by the students. Once I show you this, then you might say it's so easy, anyone can do it. Fair enough, anyone can do it, but only when he has got the physical access on the server. How come anyone enter in your data center or in your server? So guys, if physical security is compromised, then the security is back to zero. Nothing is secure there. So the physical security is something that you need to take care. So in case I forgot the root password and I have the physical access, I'll just reboot the machine. See here, reboot the machine. It's exam objective also. Here on your boot menu, press E. If you see there at the bottom, press E to edit the selected items. Press E here. This is your grub.conf parameters. Go to the line starting with Linux. Go to the end. Press end key. So you come to the end of the line. Right here, console equal to tty1 space rd.break. Why I am giving console equal to tty1? Because if you see or read the line starting with Linux carefully, it's not showing which console to use. So sometimes what happens, though the actual command is rd.break, but sometimes it can happen when you try to break the root password, and once everything is done and you reboot the machine, you it hangs. It doesn't know which console to start with. So I had specified explicitly that you need to go to the console tty1. You have given this console, you had explicitly defining the terminal to use, and rd.break is the command. So, and you can see here Control X to start. So I'll be just pressing Control X here, let the machine boot. As I was telling you, it's an exam objective also. So make sure you are able to do this. It's very easy stuff. Now here you've got a tty1. Now what you do, you need to mount your hard disk in a read-write mode, because currently it's in read only. So just give the command mount -o remount read-write /sysroot, and then move to the sysroot by giving the command chroot /sysroot. The prompt will change. Now here you can safely give the password command, give whatever password. So my old password is Red Hat. Now I am giving the new password of say Harley, Harley. Done. What next? Because of SE Linux, I need to do a relabeling. So just create a command file auto relabel. So this touch command will create a file in the /root named as .auto relabel. So once I reboot the machine, it will do a SE Linux relabeling of the complete hard disk. Done. Just press exit twice, exit, and wait. Let's see it. it should work. This is very important from examination perspective also. Just wait guys, take hardly 30 seconds more. I had given the password, changed the password to Harley, Harley. The earlier password was Red Hat. Just wait. Okay, here it is. I just press enter here. Seems good to me. So far, so good. Okay, it's coming up. Wow. So I just choose my user. Current password is Red Hat for the Alok, but I have changed the root password to Harley. So if I go back, resize my terminal for the aesthetics of the video, and if I try to move on to the root su hyphen, I'm giving the old password Red Hat, REDHAT, it will fail. But if I give the new password Harley, HARLEY, it worked. So you have successfully able to break the root password. So this is very interesting and is very important. Now, once you have learned how to break the root password, then again the question might be hammering in your mind. It's so easy, anyone can do it. Fair enough. Anyone can do it. There is no doubt about that, provided he has got the physical access. Provided he has got the physical access, he can do it. Now, so what can I do? Though the access to the data centers or the server rooms are already like secure and being audited and being scanned for any unauthorized access, but still the next objective of the class is I can further secure it by assigning a grub password. If you remember, it was so easy, just press E and change the parameters. So what if the machine prompts you for one more password once you press E, so that not anyone can just go and press E. See here, if somehow the physical security get compromised, then my server is gone. So anyone if the physical security is compromised can reboot the machine, press E here, change whatever things he wanted to do, and can create a havoc on my system. He can do it. So what I want to do, I want to add a additional layer of security on Grub. So Grub gives me a facility to assign the password on it. So if anyone tries to press E, he will be prompted for the Grub password, not the root password, the Grub password, which should be different. Let's do this. How to assign the Grub password is the next objective of the class. So let's move on. So here it is. I'll just go back to Alok and let's secure the Grub password. Again, changing the terminal You know it, for aesthetics. Yes. Just make it much more beautiful. I go to root, password is Harley. Done. Now, how to assign the grub password? Number one thing, you need to generate a grub password. So the command for generating the grub password is grub2.mkpassword pbkdf2. Write any password here. So I give password as say iron883, IRON883, IRON883. Sorry. I'll do it again. IRON883, IRON883. So what it does, it generates me a hash. So copy the hash from here. Password is. After the is, copy everything. Copy this. It's very simple stuff. Now open the file at grub2.cfg. Search for the line or the block of 10 underscore Linux. See here. This block is of 00 header. So these are the scripts, if you remember. So I should be searching for 10 underscore Linux. Here it is. Begin the block. So here, just make some space, add couple of lines. Set super user equal to root. So I'm giving the root. So it will ask me this login name. I'll export this variable. Now give the command password underscore pbkdf2. That was the algorithm that we had used while generating the hash. pbkdf2 and the root, the same username, and then paste your password here, whatever you had copied. That's it. So this is all you have to do. Set super users equal to root, whatever name. You can choose any name, need not to give the root. It's not mandatory. Exports that variable, then password underscore pbk2, pbkdf2, root, the username and the hash. Save and come out, and obviously just do a reboot. So if I do a reboot and if I try to press E, the machine should prompt me for the password, not directly give me the kernel parameters. So if I press E here, see here, it's asking me the password. So I give root. So now if anyone, even if the guy has got an unauthorized access to your physical access to the server, he cannot go beyond this point. He cannot edit kernel parameters at the boot time. So he need to know the root and the password IRON883, IRON883. Once it is done, now you will be prompted for the kernel parameters and all those lines. Then you can proceed further. So though it's not an exam objective, but it's very important from your work perspective, and you might be interested in securing your servers more. So at least you should be able to do all these things. And so breaking the root password, and then how to change to the different RHEL levels. So let's understand that also. In case you want to change to different targets or different RHEL levels, then let's see how can I do those things. The boot target is like in which state you want the machine to start, whether you want the graphical interface or not. So these are the targets. So target is actually a systemd target, is actually a systemd unit which tells that what should be started, which services should be started when the machine is booting up. So the normal targets are, I've got graphical.target. So the graphical.target will give me the multiple user facility, the graphics which I have. So mine is a graphical.target here. So currently my server is running in graphical.target. So this is one of the most commonly used target of systemd, graphical.target. Harley is the password. Then I have got multi-user dot target. So that supports everything, multi-user network facility, but no graphics. Rescue dot target is one of the most important one, and you will be using the rescue dot target in case the machine is not booting up clean. So in that case, you will be using the rescue dot target. Then we have got something known as emergency dot target. So emergency dot target is again, you can use it for breaking the root password or some other and like things, some emergency methods, so that you can use. So number one thing, let's see what are the different targets available to me. So I'll just give the command, very simple command, systemctl, again systemctl list units, sorry, hyphen type is equal to target all. So these are the targets available: basic target, emergency dot target, graphical dot target. This is the loaded and active, right? So these are the targets. Okay, that's great. So how can I find that which target I am running in? It's very simple. Just give systemctl get default. So this command will show you that you are currently running in graphical dot target. That's great. That's fine. Now suppose I don't want GUI. I want to go in simple multi-user target. So how can I move? So you can simply give systemctl isolate. So isolate is the command, and then whatever target you want to move in, multi-user dot target. See here what will happen. You see what will happen. You are directly thrown into the text mode of multi-user environment. This is it. Now from here, if I want to go to the graphical target once again, I can simply give the same command, systemctl isolate. So isolate is the option, and you might be finding yourself in a situation where you want to go to the graphical because you are finding it difficult to work in this black and white terminal. So just give this command, graphical dot target. So see what will happen. I will again be given the graphical target. So you should be able to do all these things. And how can I set? But that is temporary, right? Again, resetting my terminal. You got it right, for aesthetics. So how can I make it permanent? Suppose I don't want to boot in the graphical dot target. I just want a multi-user dot target. So how can I make it default? So systemctl set default. Get default will give you the value. Set default will set it. Multi-user dot target. So I'm not going to do this, but this command will set it default. So whenever you reboot the machine, your machine will automatically goes in the multi-user dot target. So let's try this. Let's do a reboot and see what will happen now. Because we can again switch on to the graphical dot target. That's not an issue. I just press enter. And let's see, just wait. Just wait here. Okay. See, I don't have a GUI available. It's totally multi-user dot target. Okay, password is Harley. So if I give the systemctl get default, it shows me. So any point of time you want to move to, or you want to change it to the graphical, you can again give set default. Set default, say graphical dot target. And again, if I do a reboot, I should be given back to my graphical dot target, right, where I have the GUI and everything available. So you should be able to use all these things. These are very basic stuff, but very useful. Just wait, let it come, and I expect a graphical target. Yes, it is. You can see here. So I can just simply go to any user and start doing my work. So that is for the day. The basic troubleshooting stuff, understanding about the targets, resetting or breaking the root password, assigning the grub password, and understanding the boot process, which was very important, that you should understand the boot process very clearly. So this is it, and in the next session what we are going to do, I'll give you uh, like we have if we go by the curriculum, then we have some client sides of NFS and Samba here, so which we will be doing when we will be doing the SE3. So technically speaking, on this day, your day 15, you have finished, are eligible or to appear for the your RSCSA exam, but just one topic left, that is how to configure your machine as a LDAP client. So that we are going to do it in the next class. So one more class, and then you can go ahead and go for the examination, RSCSA, Red Hat Certified System Administrator. So I'll see you in the next class. Bye bye.